What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week it is episode 303. The next time it'll be one of these ones where you can flip it. Well, I guess 333 and 323 and 330. Never mind. I was going to say 404, but I never mind. Shut up. Anyways, this week it is episode 303, and we're going back to two of my favorite things, the Game Boy Advance and Metroid, when we talk Metroid Zero Mission. Now, I had hardly touched the Game Boy Advance back in its heyday, but I've been playing more and more of its games since we started Remember the Game, and if you listened to Expansion Pass last week, where I ranked all the Nintendo consoles, the GBA has fucking skyrocketed to the moon, as they say on Reddit these days. The GBA has gone to the moon on my personal all-time favorite console charts. I love that little bastard. It is a Super Nintendo on steroids. It's in your pocket. The games are good. Outstanding. Now, also, before Remember the Game, the only Metroid title that I had played and finished was Super Metroid. But over the past 6 years, I've played the original Metroid, Metroid 2, Metroid Prime, Metroid Fusion, Metroid Dread, and now Metroid Zero Mission. And I really like all of them, but few of those games have been as hyped up by this community as Metroid Zero Mission was. So I had expectations going into this game, and I'm happy to say that it not only reached, it exceeded them. Metroid Zero Mission is fucking fantastic. If you have not played this game, it's a classic 2D Metroid game. There's a little Metroidvania. I'm joking. It's a Metroidvania. You go around and, you control Samus and you work through a maze, blasting aliens and picking up new abilities that let you get into areas you couldn't get into before. If you've played the original Metroid on the NES, you're going to feel right at home. This Zero Mission is a remake of that game, as far as I could tell. At first, I thought it was just a remaster because the beginning is exactly the same, but they added a ton of quality of life improvements, new abilities, cutscenes. The original game on the NES is fine, albeit pretty tough. Personally, I actually found Metroid Zero Mission to be the easiest Metroid game that I've played. That doesn't hurt it at all. Great game. But I did find it to be the easiest one that I've played so far. The game is sick. So joining me to talk Samus's zany adventures, and yes, they have to be zany, shout out to everyone who gets that reference, is my buddy Daniel, who's our resident Metroid super fan. I haven't actually talked to him about Zero Mission yet. It's a rare week where I'm recording the infamous intro before we record the game chat, but I'm assuming that he really likes this game as well, considering he's one of the dozens that's been driving me crazy to play it over the last few years. And we'll get to all that in just a minute, because speaking of driving you crazy for the last few years, it's time for another edition of the Remember the Game infamous intro. Dun, 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 dun. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome aboard, and consider this your warning. Our intros are a little long. They're not that long. They're a little long, but they're fun. We talk video games and stuff. It's good times. And they've been 100% alien-free since the last time Tyler appeared on the show. But seriously, though, if you do want to skip the intro, you just want Metroid Zero Mission talk, go to about the 30-minute mark. You'll be there. I recommend hanging around. Let's talk some video games and stuff with us. I do need a minute to do my plugs. It's how we keep the bills on around here. Do not forget our merchandise sale to celebrate 300 episodes is still running for approximately, how many days are in July? 31. This goes live on the 17th. 14 more days. You can save 20% on all of our merchandise at rememberthegamepodcast.com with promo code MOLLY300. So go over there and buy yourself a nice little t-shirt, because we have awesome t-shirts and hoodies and posters and tank tops and coffee mugs, all rocking awesome art designed by my man Joe from 4545 Creative. So check all that out. And of course, if you don't like clothes, Patreon is still the greatest deal in the history of the internet. Our patrons get up to 4 ad-free bonus podcasts every week, including our Simpsons podcast, Purple Monkey Dishwasher, my vlogging podcast, The Rambling Idiot, my gaming news show, Game Patch, and a video game potpourri podcast and Expansion Pass, where we do rankings and we look back at characters, consoles, genres. There's comedy episodes, there's modern game reviews, something different every week. This past week, was Expansion Pass 220, and as I mentioned just a minute ago, I decided to rank every Nintendo console from my least favorite to my all-time favorite. There was a little controversy near the bottom of the rankings, and my top 4 were actually surprisingly a lot harder to sort than I expected them to be, but it was a really good time. And as is becoming tradition, here is a sneak peek of last week's episode of Expansion Pass, ranking the Nintendo consoles. And I said there's no canon here at Remember the Game. There's no like canon universe where one list needs to match up with another list. Just go with by your mood at that time. So if this changes at some point down the road, or if this doesn't line up with something else I've said, I'm a moody motherfucker, and this is just based on my mood right now. All right? Oh, yeah. And then a whole bunch of you wrote in. We had like 120 comments in 24 hours, which is awesome. Thank you. I'm going to read as many as I can, but there were a lot for the same few systems, the Switch, the Super Nintendo, the GameCube. I put in I can't just read like 40 comments being like, the Super Nintendo's fire. So I'm reading a few for each. All right? All right? All right. Let's get this thing started with the bottom of the barrel, number 13. Everyone knows what it is. In fact, for the other 12, I even have game music from one of the games on their system to play. But for number 13, I didn't even feel it was justified to go find its music. So instead, this is the soundbite the console ranking at number 13 gets.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
So that's now available in our archives. And this week for Expansion Pass 221, the shark hasn't jumped yet. So let's do another console ranking episode. The Nintendo episode went over well, so we're going to do the same with PlayStation this week. I'm going to rank the PS1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the PSP and Vita. Really, it's the only other company I could do this for. Frankly, I haven't played a ton of Sega consoles, and then there's really only... For anyone wondering what my Xbox rankings are, it's probably Xbox 360, Xbox Series XS, Xbox One. There you go. I just ranked the Xboxes. That was a freebie. Anyway, so again, Patreon subscriptions start at $3 a month to get new podcasts every week, plus instant access to literally hundreds of ad-free archive bonus podcasts. You can add them all right to your phone on Spotify, wherever you want. Plus, you get access to the Remember the Game Discord. You get the chance to vote in our Patreon poll every month. You get the ability to submit comments for all of our podcasts. You get DM with me, and you even get a shout-out and get to hear me mispronounce your name like I'm about to do to most of these people. If I could find them, where the fuck did my list go? Oh, Jesus. I'm choking. Got it. A huge thank you to our newest Patreons. Maddie V. Dub, Eroth, Flatter Flav? Is that Flater Flav or I like that. Flater Flav. I like that. Josh Starling, Bradley Battaglia, Kyle Fagley, Jens QC666, and Duncan Baxter. I fucking ruined some of those. I love the name Baxter because every time I see it, I think Baxter Stockman. Underrated villain. Love it. Anyway, thank you all so much for the support and welcome to Remember the Game Industries. You can find all that at patreon.com/rememberthegame, and we donate 5% of it to charity, and we offer annual subscriptions that'll save you your 12 months fees. And don't forget, you can find me on Twitch whenever I have time, twitch.tv/rememberthegame. I try to get on there a couple, 3 times a week and just play old video games, all right? That's enough blowing myself. Let's blow some of you by blowing in some cartridges. It is our opening segment here on the show. I read a few comments and questions from our Patreons, usually gaming related, but not always, and we call this segment Blowing in the Cartridge.
He blows all right. He blows big time.
That's it, honey. Get into the spirit.
Let's blow. Our first blower this week is Mouse Cop. I think. There's a whole bunch of numbers in place of vowels in there, but I think it says Mouse Cop. Technically, it says M0US3C0P. I'm going Mouse Cop. Cop says, Adam, how do you calm your mind down and tune everything out around you to just enjoy a game these days? I feel like I'm so busy and flustered that I struggle to sit down and enjoy a gaming session, and I hate it. You know what? We've talked about that here before. That seems to be a pretty common refrain. I think that's just part of the whole being an adult and having to, contribute to society and everything. It does. I have a hard time with it as well. And I play video games for my fucking job. And most of the time I have a hard time. Like, I'll sit down to play, and then after 5 minutes, I'm looking at my phone, or I'm like, fuck, I should be doing something else, or whatever the fuck. So my suggestions, if I'm being serious, I can make dumb jokes, but if I'm being serious about how to enjoy your gaming sessions a little more, number one, wear headphones. I don't know if you do that or not, but they really do. Especially if you've got, I only have Shaylee and Molly running around, and most of the time I'm gaming, either Shaylee's at work or she's in bed. So, and Molly is she's sleeping right now. Molly's always sleeping. So I don't have kids running around the house or roommates or anything like that. But if you do, I really think headphones, they really amplify the gaming experience. Doesn't matter what you're playing on either. Wear headphones because it'll be easier to block out everything. And the other thing, and I don't know if other people are like this, but if I get all of my, and I say this in air quotes because of my job, but if I get all my work done, if I have all my responsibilities for the day dealt with, say you've gone to work all day, you've worked hard, you came home, you had dinner, cleaned up the kitchen, kids are in bed, maybe the lawn is cut or whatever the fuck, then it's like, this is a treat now. You know, this is your reward yourself time. That would be my other thing. Don't like, if you've got a bunch of shit to do, it's hard to sit down and enjoy. Like, I know if I need to like cut the lawn, I'm like, fuck. I want to play video games with the grass is sitting out there, and every hour I don't cut that grass, it gets 128th of an inch longer, or however fast grass grows. So I just get up and I get the shit that I need to get done for the day, and then I tell myself, like, all right, I actually make a list in my phone almost every day of stuff I need to do. And then once that list is empty, I'm like, now I can do whatever the fuck I want and not feel bad about it. So those would be my 2 recommendations. You got to take a little bit of time for yourself. Sometimes you got to spoil yourself. Spoil yourself. Good luck, mouse cop. I assume that you're a cop and also a mouse, so you must be busy. Donnie the Dude Walter said, Adam, your recent schedule change spurred a question in my mind. Play one, remake one, erase one. You could choose any 3 of your 5 podcasts. The catch is, whatever 2 you don't choose become DSP content forever. Some people have been writing and asking me, what is DSP? It's a streamer named Darkside Phil, and he's the world's biggest sack of shit, and I fucking despise him. And I've become a full-blown detractor, and I can't stop watching other people hate on this guy. It's one of my favorite things. He's my trash TV, that piece of shit. Okay, so I get to keep... So if you don't know, yeah, we just flipped a couple of our shows around. Our gaming news podcast, Game Patch, now goes live on Tuesdays, and my vlogging show, The Rambling Idiot, now goes live on Fridays, just to try to avoid conflicts with the weekend. So, okay, so I can play remake 1, erase 1 of 3 of my shows, and then whatever 2 I don't keep become DSP content forever. Well, the DSP can have The Rambling Idiot because he's even more of a rambling idiot than I am. So that one fits. And then I'll also give DSP Game Patch because it's the most work of the bunch. Even though I love doing all 5 of my shows. I really do love doing all my shows. But I'm going to give him Game Patch because he also does gaming news. But the difference is I spend all week writing out my script and doing my game notes. Every morning he literally just reads headlines off of his phone and then guesses what they mean. And says he's covering the news because, God, he's an idiot. As far as play 1, remake 1, and erase 1, I'm going to keep Remember the Game. I got to keep the OG as it is because without that, none of the other ones exist. I'm going to remake Purple Monkey Dishwasher and just make it so that I'm not as worried about Disney coming after us for putting clips of the show into our episodes. Yeah, because I don't know if we're allowed to do that or not. I think we are, but I don't know. And then I guess I erase Expansion Pass because you're making me get rid of 3 of my fucking shows. So fuck you, Donnie the Dude. But there you go. I answered you. Fuck, that was a tough question. Steamed Hams from Albany said, howdy, Adam. Week 2 of pitching this. I've asked many people over the years this question. Let's say you were to run a restaurant, decided to start serving Mickey Mouse style pancakes. In order to avoid copyright lawsuits, would you call them A, Mikey Mouse pancakes, B, Morky Mouse pancake, or C, Mouse character pancakes? Love the content. If I have to choose one of your 3 names, then I'm definitely going with C, Mouse character pancakes. But I am going to suggest D. I would call them pancakes with a mouse in them. Because I think that would get people talking. They probably wouldn't sell very many, but it would get people talking. Also, I would price them exuberantly expensive because Mickey Mouse is in them. Justin Combustion said, hey, Adam, any interest in covering any games that fall outside of the traditional video game format but still share some IP? I'm talking about things like card games like Pokemon. I'd also hear an argument for Magic the Gathering, whether it's a show about the gameplay or the collectability of the cards themselves. Either way, I love the show, man, and do-do-da-loo-doo. I feel like that's something I should get and I don't. Do-do-da-la-loo-doo. Do-do-da-loo-doo. I don't know. I don't know if I would say I don't have any interest, but I also don't have a lot to say about them. I tried Magic the Gathering in high school and thought it was a very cool game, but got massacred my first few games and then just was like, I'm not good at this right away, so I quit. I think Pokemon, the trading card game, after playing the GB version, was fucking incredible. And if I was going to get into one of those games, I think that's the one I'd get into. But I just don't really have the disposable income or the space to collect those cards. So... and then we've talked a little bit of board games on The Rambling Idiot. But as far as doing it here on Remember the Game, I will be honest, I don't think so. Not that it doesn't intrigue me. I just don't think I think poker is really the only one that I like bring anything to, and maybe a little bit of board games that I could contribute enough to make like a reasonably not shitty podcast, which is my goal every time I sit behind the mic, to make them reasonably not shitty. So fascinated by them, but I don't really think they're my cup of jam per se. Josh Starling said, hey, Adam, have you played Red Dead 2? And if not, will you dip in at some point to check it out? I mean, it's no Gunsmoke, but as far as cowboy games go, it's up there with the greats. Gunsmoke is fire. Fuck, I love that game. I have played, so trivia note, the first game I ever played on my Steam Deck was 20XX, but the second game that I played on my Steam Deck was Red Dead Redemption 2, because everyone was talking about how great it runs on the steamer, and I was like, that seems like a pretty powerful game. It was on sale for like $15, and I wanted to see if it would run well, and it did. I probably put about 10 hours into Red Dead 2. It seems great. It seems like a cool game. I get the appeal of it and everything. The problem with those big open world games for me is like, I can bang out like 4 other games in the time it takes me to play one big open world game, you know? And so an open world one's got to really grab me by the nuts to just like dive into it. Like Fallout's done that. I'm really into Cyberpunk right now, although I've kind of fallen off just because I dip in and out. I would like to go back and play some more Red Dead 2 at some point, but I'll be honest, like, will I ever play through it? I'm not shitting on it. I don't want everyone writing in being like, you're insane, that game is awesome. I think it seems like a great game. Just didn't hook me as much as like Fallout or Cyberpunk has. So I think it's just the cowboy setting doesn't interest me. It's like the Dungeons and Dragons setting of like a Witcher or Skyrim, both great games, don't interest me as much as like post-apocalyptic or the Cyberpunk world. So never say never, but I would say not anytime soon. I still have it on my Steamer, and once in a while I'll hop in and just shoot some bad guys. I like playing poker in it too. It's a cool game. It seems like a great game. Man of War said, hey, Adam, I know you talk about how you're not quite up to date on your movies, but here's a question I've been thinking about. What is the one movie that you absolutely love that is universally hated or flat out lowly rated? Mine would have to be The Masters of the Universe because it's so bad, but I'm a child of the 80s and I love He-Man. Keep on cranking out the great content. Oh, I'll keep cranking them out. That's for fucking sure. If you don't know what that means, wait till you get older. I think probably the movie that people hate on the most that I like are both the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles movies. I don't think they're as good as like the 1990 movie or Mutant Mayhem or anything, but I don't think the Bay movies are nearly as bad as they get made out to be, particularly the second one, which I think is actually a pretty good movie. The first one, my problem is that they're at like a mansion in the mountains, and then all of a sudden they're sliding down an icy mountain, and then they're all of a sudden in New York City, which just seems stupid. But I really like the designs of the turtles. Hot take, I know. And yeah, and the second one, especially seeing the Technodrome and Krang and everything, was awesome. So the Michael Bay Turtles movies would be one. Armageddon, I don't know if people think Armageddon sucks or not, but Armageddon is genuinely one of my favorite movies of all time. And then there's a movie that no one ever talks about called Hot Rod. And, what's his name? I don't know any actors' names. The kid who used to be on SNL, and then he was on that Brooklyn 99 show or whatever. Andy Samberg, I think is his name. He was in this movie called Hot Rod where he was like a wannabe stuntman. And it was such a horribly stupid movie, but I fucking love that movie. So those are a couple. And also Cop Out with Bruce Willis and, what's his name? Tracy Morgan. I like that movie too. Those are a few of my shit movies that I love. And finally, before we move on, of course, it's letter time. It's letter time. Maya Butt Reeks said, Adam, you've stumbled across an actual wish-granting game genie after blowing into the cartridge of a newly acquired retro game. He has the power to grant any wish that has anything to do with gaming. What 3 wishes do you make? I actually thought about this for a while because I'm like, there's no monkey's paw stipulation on this, so the wishes will blow up in my face. And I'm assuming I can't do the lame thing like I want infinite wishes, which anyone that says that and it's over the age of 8, you're a loser. That's a lame answer. Give us something good. So number 1, I'm going to wish that Xbox finally actually starts releasing games on a regular schedule and they're on par with PlayStation exclusives so that Xbox doesn't get dumped on anymore. Number 2, Nintendo spends a whole bunch of their Switch and Amiibo money to expand their studios and bring on new studios to work on all their IPs like Punch-Out and Star Fox and F-Zero and etc. And then I didn't want to burn all my wishes on just a couple of games that I want, but I am going to burn the third one on Earthbound 2/Mother 4. And it's in that 2D HD art style, and it stars Ness, Paula, Jeff, and Pooh again. But they're like older. They're like teenagers now. Oh, yeah, that's fucking hot. I'll go with that. That'd be my 3 wishes. All right, we got to move on. Thank you so much for everybody that wrote into the show. As always, we need to get to our next segment. So let's keep what's my segue here? How am I fucking this up? Whatever. Let's switch things up and get to our Smash Hit segment, the official game show of Remember the Game Industries. Play 1, Remake 1, Erase 1. And a huge thank you to Classic Concentration from the NES for unknowingly providing us with the theme music for the show. The rules are simple. Every week I give our Patreons 3 retro video games. They can play one as it was released, remake one as a modern game, and the third is erased from time forever. And as always, there are no wrong answers, but there is a right one. We'll get there in a second. Also, just side note, I did not know that not everybody can roll their R's like that. I'm not saying that I have like a talent, because I know a lot of people can, but Staley revealed to me this weekend that she cannot do that three. She was like she can't. So shout out to all my fellow R rollers. Arriba. No, anyways, some people can't do it. Anyways, this week we're talking a Game Boy Advance game about a classic Nintendo IP, so I went with 3 more. Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, Wario Land 4, and The Legend of Zelda The Minish Cap. And 34% of you said you'd play Zelda, remake Wario, erase Kirby. It's always tricky when I put one Zelda game in here because they always seem to do well. You know, I feel like it unbalances the balance, as it were, with a Zelda game in here. But let's see what a few of you had to say, and then I'll tell you what the right answer was. SuperBangBros.net said, this is easy. I'm going to do this in reverse, because fuck Kirby's pink bubbly ass. He's burned mine too many times. He's deleted. How's Kirby burned your ass? I don't. Anyways. Remake Minish Cap, because I've only heard good things, so I imagine it'd be great in the modern Legend of Zelda setting. And play Wario Land 4, because I'm Wario's doppelganger, and it makes me horny to watch myself do some good old-fashioned platforming. I also get horny watching Wario, but it's a weird thing. I don't know what it is about it. He looks cuddly. You know, he's soft. Anyways. Robot Clover. Thank you for changing your name to that. I like that. Said, play Kirby because Kirby needs the W. Remake Minish Cap in Link's Awakening style because that's the token suggestion for handheld Zelda remakes and because it would actually look great. I'll agree with that. And erase Wario Land 4 because 3 is enough. That is sound logic. We don't need 4 anythings. Fuck that. Slapnuts McGonagall. I like that name a lot. A lot. Slapnuts is the best thing Jeff Jarrett ever did. This one's easy. Play Minish Cap because this game was really fun on its own and I believe the looks hold up today. I'll agree with that. Remake Kirby because I've dabbled with the little pink fella a few times and I'd love to see an older copy get a facelift. And erase Wario Land because that asshole has bullied me too many times in Mario Party, so screw him. See, that's logic I can get behind. People, the hurt feelings of Mario Party never go away. I can get on board with that. Maverick said, this one is simple. I'm going to play Kirby since I never have, but who doesn't love that adorable pink ball of mush? Well, the answer is simple for that. It's superbangbros.net. Remake Minish Cap because the game is fucking perfect except for those goddamn Kinstones and gumball machines. So I'll fix that. I'm going to erase Wario because I can't stand his onion-eating, brownie-baking, diabetic ass, and I would take pleasure in erasing his game from all existence. What's with all the Wario hate? You guys are crazy. Wario's awesome. See, Cryptid K knows what's up. Cryptid K said, I'll play Wario Land because I would never want a remake of something so perfect for the hardware it was originally made on. The music and graphics are so perfectly GBA. Agreed. Remake Minish Cap because I think Nintendo could breathe new life into this often overlooked Zelda entry. And erase Kirby solely because that's how the game works. One has to go. And the others were better play and remake choices. And I don't have the same attachment to this Kirby game. There are others that I could play instead. I love how you were like, instantly like erase Kirby, but I'm sorry, it's nothing personal. Because I do that as well. I get it. I'm actually going with the very small 4% of you voted the same way I did this week, as did Maverick Marty, who said, all right, I thought this was tough, but hear me out. I'm a big Zelda fan, and I've played a lot of Minish Cap, and Vaddie is one of my all-time favorite villain designs. However, I'm starting by saying I will erase it. So I'm going to play Kirby and remake Wario because I haven't played either of them. My logic is different, but my order is the same. I'm going to play Kirby and the Amazing Mirror because while it is easily my least favorite IP of these 3, it's the only one of these games I haven't played, and I don't like erasing games I haven't played if I can't help it. So I'm going to play Kirby, I'm going to remake Wario Land 4, and I'm going to leave it in the GBA graphics and everything, but I'm just going to call it Wario Land 4 Deluxe and just double this amount of content and everything and just make it bigger because it's awesome. And I'm going to erase The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. And listen, that game is fantastic. It is. We reviewed it here on the show. It's a great fucking game. But there are so many 2D Zelda games that I love that I don't have time to go back and replay, like Link Between Worlds, Link to the Past. I'd love to play Oracle of Ages because I've only ever played Seasons. So I'm like, the simple fact is, while I think The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap is great, I'm probably never going to have time to play it again. So it can go and just stay in my mind with memories. Thank you, everyone that wrote in to play along, as always. Speaking of playing, what have I been playing over the last 7 days? A lot of Donkey Kong 64. I'm going to keep my thoughts close to the chest, but we're hopefully going to review that next week. And, dude, Dave the Diver. So many people have been telling me Dave the Diver is fire. I bought it in the Steam sale a while ago. Finally fired it up on a whim on my Steam Deck a few nights ago. I was watching AEW, and I have not been able to put that fucking game down. That game is the shit. And expect an expansion pass review in early August. Dave the Diver. It is, look it up. It's awesome. Play it. Fuck me, Dave the Diver is good. Wow. What a great fucking game. God, I love indie games. Dave the Diver, man. And I highly recommend playing it on the Steamer, or I don't know how well it runs on the Switch, but I'm presuming it runs okay. Play it on something handheld, because it's one of those games where, like, you can pick it up and chip away while you're watching TV or something. Perfect time-wasting game. Dave the Diver is fire. Fuck, that game is good. Okay, let's pause here for a quick word from a sponsor. I wish it was Dave the Diver, but it isn't. And when we get back, it's all Metroid Zero Mission talk, okay? We will be right back after this. We've had some great partners over the years here at Remember the Game, but I don't know if any of them have hit home for me quite like Hometown Hero does. No pun intended. Don't start. It's a transparent, honest cannabis company that helps people and gives back to those that have served their country at the same time. I mean, come on. As soon as I read about these guys, I knew I wanted to work with them. Hometown Hero is a cannabis company out of Austin, Texas, and they were founded back in 2015 by a U.S. veteran. They have two goals: create premium hemp products that can help everyone, and to support veterans by donating a portion of those profits to organizations set up to take care of those who have served. Hometown Hero products are of the highest quality, and everything they offer is made right there in the U.S. of A. Gummies, caramels, chocolates, drink mix. There's something for everyone. And what's more, their hemp is grown locally in Texas, which is something they should and do take a lot of pride in. And they offer certificates of analysis for everything they sell, because they want to be clear that their products are as advertised, both in terms of potency and ingredients. No contaminants, you get what you pay for. Just how they conduct business is enough to get my good eyes' attention. But when you circle back to the fact that the company was founded by a veteran and they put such heavy emphasis on supporting veterans, this isn't just lip service. I'm not reading a script I was given here. I'm proud to have Hometown Hero associated with Remember the Game. Reclaim your evening. Visit hometownhero.com and use code RTG to take 20% off your first purchase. That's hometownhero.com, code RTG for 20% off your first purchase. This is an ad by BetterHelp. A band once said, "Work sucks, I know." And I think most people agree with them. Workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress from their jobs. And while walking away from your job might not be an option, taking a little time every day to focus on yourself and your mental health can make a huge difference. I know in the summer I try to get outside every day, get a little bit of sun, and just enjoy the outdoors. It really helps. At least until my allergies attack, and then it's ugly. It's important to take steps to combat work stress, and therapy can be a huge one. It's not just for overcoming trauma. Therapy can help you define work goals, set some work boundaries, develop coping skills. It's like a cheat code for life. And if you're thinking, man, I'm too busy for therapy, well, look into BetterHelp. They make therapy as convenient as possible. You can meet with one of their over 30,000 therapists online and on your schedule, just like over 5 million people around the world already have done. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/rememberthegame. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. All right, let's get into Metroid Zero Mission. As always, I like to let you nerds sound off in the comments before my guest and I hug the microphone. I will warn you, we are going to spoil a couple of things, so if you haven't played it, there's only one real major spoiler, and it's like something big that happens near the end of the game. And we are literally about to talk about it. So just, you've been warned. If you haven't played it yet, it's available on Nintendo Switch Online. It's only about 4 hours long. Pause this, go play it. You can finish it today and then come back and listen to the episode. Unless you don't care about the spoiler. And it's not like a huge spoiler. It's just like a little thing that happens near the end of the game. All right? Here we go. Mike Ronomicon said, this isn't the spoiler. After completing Dread and Prime, I absolutely loved this game, along with the other two. These games have really gotten me into Metroidvanias. I can't wait to play more. Metroid Zero Mission never overstayed its welcome either, which I greatly appreciated. Yeah, dude, I beat it with about a 70% completion in about 4 hours. And I thought that was the perfect spot for it. I agree 100%. This is the spoiler one. Phoenix wrong. said, I can remember playing the Zero Suit segment of this and my brother and buddy watching me play from behind my chairs if they were watching an intense hockey game. Every time I offered to turn the game off to play a multiplayer game, they'd boo me. Crowd went wild when I got the power suit back. Good times. Buddy, that segment, and again, Daniel and I are about to spoil all of it anyway. That segment where you get to, I thought the game was over, and then it was like, nope, now you've lost all your powers, and you get to play as just Zero Suit Samus, and you get to hide from all the aliens and shit. It was fucking, that was one of the highlights of the game for me. I thought that was so cool. Slithis the God said, having grown up with Super Metroid being my favorite game, but not really spending much time with the GBA, I didn't play this till I saw you were about to cover it, and oh my God, am I mad that I never played it when I was young, because this game fucks. I literally feel the same way. I wish I had played this when it came out, because it'd be one of my favorite games of all time. This game is so fucking good. Phil Lencher said, this is my favorite Metroid game. I love Super Metroid. I love Metroid Fusion, but this one is the game I have the most hours in. Hell, I've 100%ed this game 3 times since it dropped on Switch Online. One of the finest the GBA has to offer. I agree. I don't know if I like this one more than Metroid Fusion or not. I would like to do a Metroid ranking episode. I'm going to have to play at least Metroid Prime 2 before I can, and Metroid 2 Return of Samus before I do a ranking episode. I don't know if I like Fusion or Zero Mission more. They're both fantastic. I don't think there's a wrong answer. They're both fantastic. I agree. And Sauce McLaughlin said Zero Mission is pure fire. One of the best GBA games ever. Top 10 in the console's library for sure. With games like this, Metroid Fusion, Metroid Dread, Metroid Prime. Why is this series so slept on? I don't know many people that have played a Metroid game at all. Unless they're old as hell like Mr. Blank. I am old as hell. And to be fair, like I said, until 5 or 6 years ago, the only Metroid I had played with any regularity was Super Metroid. And I slept, and I don't know why I slept on this series. I don't know why. I think part of it's because it's a Nintendo series that's not as cute and cuddly as a lot of other Nintendo series. It doesn't have that Mario, Zelda, Kirby, Pokemon charm. You know, I think that's part of its problem. But I think this is, bar none, the most underrated franchise Nintendo owns. It's Metroid. And I implore all of you, listen to this episode and then play this fucking game and then play more Metroids, or do those and then come back. Whatever. You've already downloaded it, so my work is done. It's time to talk well, I guess my work's not done because we're about to go to work and talk Metroid Zero Mission with my buddy Daniel. I'm going to cue up some music. And when it stops, we're going back to the GBA and February 9th of 2004 to talk of one of Samus's best adventures ever. Enjoy the podcast, everybody. Let's go. All right, so joining me via the blank phone this week, and we are approximately 7 hours from publishing, so I hope this goes right because we don't have time to fix it. Joining me via the blank phone this week to talk Metroid Zero Mission is our resident Metroid fan. I was like, I don't want to call you a zero. I want to relate it to the name, but I don't. You're not a zero, and you're not a mission. I don't know. It's Daniel. Daniel, you're like a solid. You're like a hard. You're like in Edmonton. You're like a 7 in society. I would call you like a soft.
I've seen Edmonton. I'm an 8 in Edmonton, buddy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Anyways, how you're not a zero. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, and I go by stupid, so being called a zero would hardly be the worst thing I get called online.
Yeah, I went to say it, and I'm like, well, he's not a zero. That's fucking cold. I don't know. Anyway, we're talking Metroid Zero Mission. Now, it's crazy that coming in, I would have been like, man, I'm kind of new to the Metroid games. But at this point, I think I've played over half the series. So I'm not new anymore.
You played all the main ones, and you've only got one remake of the main series. You've just got the Samus Returns, because we've done the Game Boy Samus Returns.
Yeah,
so
I was saying
the remake.
Yeah, I was saying in the infamous intro, I'd really like to do a ranking episode of Metroid, but I still want to play Metroid Prime 2, and I still want to play Metroid 2 Return of Samus. Yeah. Or the remake one or whatever. And then I'd be good to rank them. But this one, like,
what, you don't want to play other
I
Mission?
hate to keep what's that?
You don't want to play other Mission on the Wii?
No, I do not. And I don't want to get into that. I don't want to take any more shit for my feelings on the Wii. If you don't know, listen to Expansion Pass from last week. It's done. But what I did get a lot of praise for on the Expansion Pass last week, where we ranked on the Nintendo consoles, was my love of the GBA. And it's a newfound love. And I have to say, Metroid Zero Mission just pumped its tires a little bit more. I can't decide if I like this one more than Metroid Fusion, but I really like this game, buddy. This is pretty fucking good.
Yeah, it's a good one. Metroid Zero Mission and Fusion are kind of like one because they do things just a little bit different in them, and it's kind of depending on how I'm feeling that day is kind of be which one I prefer.
Yeah, they're both great though.
Yeah,
they're both
they
great.
are.
This one, like, if you've never played this one, everybody, Metroid Zero Mission, it's on the GBA, it's on Nintendo Switch Online if you want to fire it up. And it is, and if I'm wrong, correct me, because some people are yelling at me. In my opinions, this is a remake of the first Metroid.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay. Some people have been like, well, not exactly. But I'm like, I'm not saying a remaster. At the beginning, it feels like a remaster because the starting screen is the same and the morph ball is right there and everything. Yeah. But I like, because you and I covered the OG NES Metroid a year or two ago, and I liked it when I played through it. But this literally fixes, and as everyone told me it did, this literally fixes every single thing I don't like about the NES one, while also making everything else better.
Yeah, it does.
There's not one thing that it does wrong.
Any new issue, all the the nerds were whining about why she didn't have the big circle pads until Metroid 2 and Super Metroid.
Right.
Because the original NES Metroid didn't have the big circle shoulder pads.
Yeah. And so this is basically it. So if you've not played it, the NES Metroid, we've covered that one in the archives as well. Revolutionary for its time and very ambitious game. But if you try it for the first time in 2024 or whatever year you're listening to this, it's pretty tough. It's not
Hope
not
you like
bad.
making maps.
Oh yeah. Whereas this one, I will say the Zero Mission, it's the remake and same basic concept, same story, a lot of the same map. But obviously you have a map, which is nice. And not only do you have a map, but you come across statues that tell you, hey, you should go to here next, which makes it very nice and easy. I think of all the Metroids I've played, I think this was the easiest one.
I'd agree with that. I think Zero Mission is a little bit more linear and a little bit more heavy-handed with the go here, and we're not even going to let you go anywhere else. I think this one, it's like you can go wherever you want. This is where you should go. But I also agree that this one's probably the easiest.
Even the boss fights, because it's the same basic boss fights as it was in the NES one.
Yeah,
except
just
so much better, dude. What's the name of that big fat guy, the lizard?
Oh, Kraid.
Yeah, that fight in the NES one fucking sucks, but that fight in this one was superb because he goes from like this little blue blurry blob of pixelated snot to this fucking giant beast that like shoots shit out of his belly buttons. And I say buttons, plural.
Yeah.
And he's awesome. He's so big. But I don't think I died on a boss because the only bosses you fight are him and then Ripley and then the brain, the big brain.
Yeah, Mother Brain.
And in the NES one, I died 100 times. In this one, I didn't die. And I'm not trying to flex on being like good at games because I'm not particularly good at games. But I didn't find any of the boss fights that hard in this one.
No. This one was quite a bit easier.
But
there's save stations pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. There's so many saves. And I may be wrong because I haven't played the NES one for a couple years now, but I believe when you save in the NES one, you don't get your health back.
You don't save in the NES one. You have
there's passwords. You don't save at all. Yeah. Whereas, because that's what I was trying to remember. Because I remember in the NES one of my biggest gripes with it was that like I don't want it to hold my hand, but you're nonstop grinding, killing, respawning enemies to fill up your health, and what a pain in the ass it is. In this one, every time you save it, this one save stations exist. They refill your energy, and there's literally a save station like every 8 fucking rooms.
Yeah, they pulled a lot from Super Metroid for this one. Like the status screen, the map screen are right out of Super Metroid. This one came out after Fusion, I believe, but it's very much we know Super Metroid is like a lot of people's favorite one at this point. So that's what we're going to be drawing on.
Yeah, not to like half-ass describing it, but this game, it really is the NES Metroid plus Super Metroid equals Metroid Zero Mission.
Yep.
Like they really, it is, it's almost like they right click saved as the NES one and saved it as Super Metroid. Like it really is. But that's not a bad thing. Like I know a
No.
couple of, like I've seen the occasional person, like I've been posting on social media asking people what's your favorite Metroid and stuff like that. Super Metroid still seems to be the clubhouse leader, which is a fine pick. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I have seen a few people point out how easy this one is compared to some of the other ones. But I have to say, dude, like I'm not afraid of hard games as long as they're not from Software. But I had to get that out because if I don't say it, everyone will call me out. But I'm not normally afraid of hard games. But just because a game can be hard doesn't mean it has to be.
Exactly.
And I beat this in 4 hours on my. I think it took me just under 4 hours. I think I had about a 70% completion. I did a fair amount of exploring, like to find health packs and missile upgrades and stuff. But I never, not one time, did I get frustrated or mad or stuck. And I don't know if I can say that about any Metroid game before this one.
No,
Like,
I'd agree with
period.
that. And the one thing I find with this one that it definitely improved on over, say, Super is the wall jumping, which is also a lot less required in this one. You can use it if you know how to do it, but it's not required.
Yes.
Um,
And it gives you that awesome one of the. It's so like most of the time when Samus picks up an ability, it's like, oh, here's a new weapon for your suit, or here's a new suit that can handle extreme temperatures. I love them. I love that one of the first and one of the most valuable abilities you get in this game is the ability to grab a ledge and pull
I
yourself
know.
up.
It's like,
And
yeah.
I was like, Samus is like one of the most futuristic, sophisticated, naturally gifted bounty hunters in the history of the universe. But she had to unlock the ability to grab a hold of a ledge and pull herself up. But that said, once she's got that ability, the game fucking changes. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I was
Especially when
using
you
it
get
even when I
double jump
didn't
in a
need it.
game. Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
just
It's
because I
like, yeah,
liked it so much.
yeah. Like I
But I
could
did,
make that jump with but I'm just gonna jump up and grab it.
yeah, because it just felt so good to grab the ledge. That was
Yeah.
so I found that I was curious if you found that as peculiar as me. That like,
I did. It's hilarious.
yeah, like they
Yeah.
couldn't have just. But the thing is, though, if they just give her that ability right out of the gate, then because you're right, this one, I mean, it's really tough to get lost. A, because those statues are constantly guiding you to the next
Yeah.
beacon and like the next place to go, but also because it really, outside of looking for power ups, like if you want to blow up walls and look for missiles or health upgrades and stuff, outside of that, it really is like you can't really go any like it's like you are gonna like we're telling you to go here and you're like, okay, but I'd like to look over here first, and then you realize like, oh no, there's literally no way I'm looking over here until I go where it's telling me to go.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
linear game for a
Yeah.
Metroidvania, like probably the most linear outside of maybe no, it might be the most, actually. It might be the most linear one I've played so far.
I'd still argue Fusion is a bit more linear, but it's
Yeah,
pretty close.
that's where I
This
was
one,
gonna go.
yeah, and this one integrates it a lot cleaner too.
Yes.
Like I said, because like my big issue, and I know we talked about it in the Fusion episode, is that it not only says this is where you should go, but then it locks you out of being able to go to other places. It's like, yeah, the elevator is down, you have to go here. Whereas
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
this one, it tells you, but it also kind of does the have fun. You can explore stuff. If you're good at sequence breaking, which spoiler alert, I'm not. You can do other stuff in the meantime. But
Yeah, I'll concede that because Fusion was the one that I was like, that might be more, but I'll agree. Actually, yeah, Fusion
yeah,
is more linear, but this one's right up there. I do wonder, and I'm not, for the record, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing at all. The
no,
linearity thing.
there's a lot of people I know that prefer that.
Yeah, it's
I know
nice.
depending on the game you do, for example.
Totally, that's what keeps it to 4 hours,
Yeah.
which
Oh
is
yeah,
nice.
for sure.
Because anyone that loves like I love Metroidvanias, I know you like them a lot. The one thing about Metroidvanias that can get very frustrating is when you just can't figure out where to go. And you're
Yeah.
like, I have like Metroid Dread to me is still the predominant Metroid game. That's my favorite.
I
But
think it's the
there are
best.
multiple instances in that game where the only way to figure out where to go is to just roll around dropping bombs until you blow up a brick and then realize like, oh, I can go through there.
Yeah,
And
Super is even worse for that. Like as much as I love Super, and it's the one that got me into the genre into the series. And I mean, depending on your memory, you can remember how much time I played that one as a kid.
yeah.
Like there's so many instances that you have to just try everything until you figure out what works.
Right. Which like lots of games have, but in a game where you've got like this giant map to explore and everything, it can get really frustrating when you spend an hour literally walking from one end of that map to the other looking everywhere, and then finally you give up, you Google it, and then it's like, oh, an hour ago when you were just standing there and you just had to go into ball form and drop a bomb.
Yeah.
And you're like, you motherfucker. Like that can get under your skin. So that's why I'm saying the linearity thing isn't all bad. I'll hear the argument for some people that prefer more exploration, that this one is a little bit maybe too linear, but I liked it. I do wonder if the two most linear Metroids we've played are on the GBA. And then I would hear an argument that Metroid 2 on the Game Boy is not exactly the biggest open world map ever either.
No, but I mean that was part of like that one is the least Metroidvania of the Metroids because
It's weird.
Yeah, because I mean the whole point there is, you start off with some of the abilities, and then it's, you can't explode. It's not that you need new abilities. You have to kill the certain number of Metroids.
Yeah, that's Metroid Ghostbusters, that game.
Yeah, it really is. Also, go
Probably
listen to that episode.
Probably my least favorite. Like not terrible, but probably my least favorite Metroid.
But I
But
like that it tried to do something different. If I had played it before some of the other ones, I'd probably like it more. But
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in tough company.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say is just I do wonder, like I wonder if the linearity of stuff like Fusion and Zero Mission, I wonder how much of that is by design and how much of that is the technical limitations of the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance. And I don't know, because the GBA is a pretty ambitious little piece of hardware.
Well,
So I don't know if it was intentional or not.
Nintendo games that would have been ported to the GBA. So it feels like there's no reason you couldn't have done a bigger game. Like if Super Metroid would have fit on it because there's other Super Nintendo and Up games on it.
Sure. But then so I just you know what I mean? Like, so then why are all the ones on the GBA the linear ones? Like, is it because they were like, well, a lot of kids play on the GBA and they'll be fucked if we don't hold their hand?
I wonder if that was a bit of it, but I don't know. Or they might have been, like this is a smaller system. We're going to make a smaller game.
Yeah. I don't know. Not again, like it doesn't, I don't know.
It's not a complaint. Like if
it's
a good game is a good game. If it's 4 hours, it's 4 hours. If it's 40 hours, it's 40 hours.
I mean, quite frankly, and I know for a fact, there's a whole lot of you listening to this that feel this way as well. I look at a game, if I can finish a game in under 8 hours, if I just dropped $80 on it, then sometimes I don't love that. I don't like to equate length to value, but sometimes I'm like, man, $80 for a game that I beat in an afternoon. Like, I don't know about that, but sometimes now a game that's under 8 hours is a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
In a busy world.
I actively look for games that have I can do on under 12.
Yeah, it's nice. Like this one, you among other people had told me like, dude, you'll beat this one in under 5 hours. And I was playing it and I was like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like I'm going to do it that fast. Cause I was really taking my time and looking for stuff. And I was shocked when I rolled credits and saw that I came in literally like 3 hours and 50 some minutes. And I was like, well, fuck, that is a tight little game.
Yeah. I know when I just replayed it, after it was on the Switch Online there, I think I came in at 4 minutes and 14 seconds, but I also know there's times where I paused it because I may or may not be playing it at work and, have to do work things when a call comes in.
Sure. Yeah. But no, it's all right. So I mean, I'm imagining we don't have to explain to too many people what Metroid is. If we do, we probably should have done it 16 minutes ago. Basically, you play as a character named Samus, and she's from Smash Brothers fame. I wonder if you were to poll every gamer on the planet, is Samus more known for the Metroid games or for Smash Brothers? Because I bet you it's Smash Brothers.
I would agree with you. I think there's more people that know her from Smash.
Yeah.
Or think she's just kind of generic Nintendo character as opposed to having her own games.
Yeah.
Nintendo doesn't love her.
No, like, and Smash has just sold so many more copies than the Metroid games. But anyway, so you play as Samus from Metroid, or from Smash Bros. Fame. She's the awesome badass Mega Man looking chick in the red suit, and it's a Metroid, hence the name Metroid and Metroidvania. It's a Metroidvania game. So you go through a map, and originally you can only go to a couple of locations on that map. And you might run into other locations, see a ledge up there, and be like, I can't jump that high, find a door that you can't figure out how to open. And then as you play through the game, you find new abilities to power up your suit. And as you power up your suit, you can
If only I could grab that ledge.
Yeah, now you can grab a ledge. Now you can shoot a door and open it up and stuff like that.
So
And
dumb.
normally these games are designed around trying to find your way through a map. In this one, you are trying to, or through a maze per se, excuse me. And in this one, you are kind of trying to find your way through the maze. But like we said, they regularly throw. What are those statues called?
They're just called Chozos. Chozo is the species that raise Samus. They're bunch of giant birds, and they're
Okay.
just typically called Chozo statues.
Okay, so they're these awesome looking statues that are just conveniently holding their hands to like cradle a human sized ball. And then Samus can go into her suit and turn herself into a human sized ball and sit in their hands. And in most Metroid games, when you find those statues, you go into the ball, you sit in the hands, and they usually give you like a new ability or a power up or something like that. In this one, some of them do that, but there's other ones where you'll go and you'll sit in the hands, and then it'll go to your map and show you where another giant bird statue is. And it's the game's way of telling you, like, go to here. Because the simple fact is, you'll, even if you try to explore, like, I went out of my way to fight going to the next bird statue as many times as possible. And there's very limited amount of stuff you can do until you, like, it's telling you go to this fucking
Yeah.
go to. And if I could offer a piece of advice to anyone that plays this for the first time after you listen, I know it's going to be kind of lame, but and I'm curious if you agree with me or not. I actually recommend, when the game tells you to go to the next bird statue, I would actually recommend not exploring first and just going to the next bird statue, because one thing I found was all I would do was explore until I found where it wanted me to go after I went to the next bird statue, but I didn't have that ability yet. Like, I actually found a lot of the exploration in this game to be kind of a waste of time.
Yeah. You're like you, and it also has built-in. It has built-in grinding. Like in your process of going from to the next point that it tells you to go to, you'll pick up enough stuff. You'll unlock enough stuff with whatever ability you've just unlocked recently that you
Yeah.
don't really have to go out of your way to start looking for stuff.
Yeah. And
I can't remember
ahead.
the exact. I think somebody said that, like, without trying to find stuff, you're typically going to get about a 60% collection rate. And it
Right.
tells you what your collection rate for all the items is.
Yeah.
Is somewhere between 60 and 70%. So, I mean, if you want more than that, like, you almost have to actually try to get less than that.
Yeah. Well, and the game will traditionally send you back to, not always, but most of the time at some point you're going to go back to, like, I don't know, you're in area A of the map and you're like, man, I really want to keep exploring here, but this little head is telling me to go down to area B. Just go to area B, because like Daniel said, you're going to find power-ups on your way to area B. And once you're done in area B and you've gotten whatever the next power-up is, be it a better jump or a better weapon or whatever the fuck, at some point the game is going to send you back to area A anyways.
Yeah.
So don't waste all your time. And then, like, near the end of the game, like, you're going to know when because like it hits the point where once you beat the two bosses, then those two statues light up and then you can go through the statue. Like, you're going to know when you're getting near the end of the game. At that point, you've got most of your abilities. Then you can go and explore to your heart's content and look for power-ups anyways.
Exactly. Yeah. If you want to get the higher collection, that's when you do it.
Yeah. And another thing this game does that I love, I'll hear an argument that it makes things too easy, but one of my favorite things about Metroidvania games is areas where you can buy or whatever, get access to like a map that will tell you the ballpark areas of all the power-ups so that you can go back and finish all your collectibles or what have you.
Exactly.
And in this one, it took me a little while to figure it out. Always read the manual with retro games, kids. And I didn't read the manual. That's on me. But when you're playing this game, when you're going through the map, if you get into a quadrant of an area where there's something hidden, and it might just be like an E-tank hidden in the wall or something, there'll be a circle on the map. And that circle turns into a dot once you found the power up there. And so when you're doing your backtracking and you're exploring and looking for power-ups, you know, like, okay, there's something in this area because the map has a circle on it. And again, I'll hear an argument that makes these games too easy, but I'm a big fan of Metroidvanias that do that. Big
No,
fan.
I agree. It's
'Cause
like
I
all
wanna-
all the super hidden ones after that point are that's where you've got to find like the one spot on the wall you can bomb to go into an area that wasn't revealed to you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, there is like, because I played quite a few of Metroidvanias, and I can't think of another franchise in the Metroidvania arc where you spend quite as much time just going around dropping bombs, like looking for holes in the wall, as you do in the Metroid games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a bad thing, but
No,
I can't
the
think
Metroid
of like,
carpet bomb is a term for a reason.
right, like when you play Hollow Knight or Guacamelee or Ori, you're not going around constantly looking for little holes in the walls like you are in the Metroid games.
No.
So that's the basic gist of it. You go into this, like, I don't even know what the story is. Basically, you're just going to wipe out the Metroids, I think.
And this one, you're going after the space pirates, led by Mother Brain. This is the planet they've got their main base on.
Okay. You basically, like, the long and short of the game is you have to take out these two bosses that'll open up a door, and then there's an awesome little twist. And we're going to go to the break in a second. And then when we get back, I want to talk about that twist. Because I will say, and I've already warned everyone there's some spoilers. We already spoiled it in the infamous intro. I did not see it coming, and I thought it was brilliant. But you go through that little segment, and then basically take off, and then that's the game. It's really not a long game. There's like difficulty levels and stuff, right? Like there's a reason to go back and play it some more.
There is. The faster you complete it and the higher your completion, you get different ending screens. And in traditional one, Samus is, wearing less and less. I think at this point there wasn't the rumors of if you get 100% in under an hour that she's naked. No, but she's not wearing. She goes, I think, from fully armored to no helmet to standing in her undersuit.
We gamers are a horny people.
We are.
Like, Lara Croft, there were fucking triangles, kids. But like that was back in the day
you
where
downloaded it. You know you did.
Yeah, that was the day where you'd watch Showtime till 1 a.m. hoping to catch a boob. So I get it.
Exactly.
Okay, well I still want to talk about the graphics and how incredible they are. The sound is good. I want to talk about that plot twist. Well, not a plot twist, but that one thing that happens, which is awesome. And anything else that goes on with this game. Like, I'll be honest, like I never try to stretch these episodes out, but I don't feel like this is the longest. It's only a 4-hour game. It's a 4-hour game. So let's take a break here. I have to let a sponsor in before we hit a certain percent of the episodes. Let's let a sponsor in. When we get back, we're going to reveal the big twist that comes up near the end of the game. We'll be right back after this. All right. Daniel, let me ask you a question. Does it make me stupid that I never clued in to the fact that it was called Metroid Zero Mission and we get to see Zero Suit Samus? Because I don't feel like it does.
It doesn't, because that's why we call it Zero Suit, is because it's from the game.
Okay, so she was never called that until this game.
No,
Okay.
It was it was unarmored Samus or naked Samus or underwear Samus or bikini Samus or Justin Bailey Samus, or there were lots of terms for her without the power suit, but Zero Suit came from this game.
Okay, that makes me feel better, because when it happened, so like you think you've like basically beaten the game, and then your ship crashes and Samus doesn't have her power suit anymore, and so now you're running around in this fucking space pirate ship as like from, again, most people know her from Smash Brothers, the blue jumpsuit as it were, and the blonde ponytail with just like a pistol, and you need to. It's not fight. It's flee.
It's run.
Basically,
and she even says like at the start of it, it's like all I've got is my stun pistol, and that won't work.
Yeah.
Like it really emphasizes that you are, screwed if you can't get away.
Yeah, and then it becomes a little bit like Metroid Fusion, and I loved this part of the game because one of my favorite things about Metroid Fusion was running away from the what was I calling them, the Venoms?
Yeah, the Venoms.
Running away from, and it's the same thing in Metroid Dread, running away from those I still think running away from those fucking robots in Metroid Dread is one of the most tense things I've ever done in a video game.
I would agree with you.
Oh my God, when that music kicks in and you're just like, fuck. It's intense, and this isn't quite that intense, but it is an awesome little bonus. And the other thing too is like, there's been some games and I won't get into details for the sake of spoilers, but Resident Evil 7 and The Last of Us Part 2 are two of my favorite games ever, and I feel like the final 10-15% of those games is unnecessary. Like they're just tacked on, and I'm like, I would have
Yep.
been happy if it had ended, an hour ago or whatever the fuck. And then when this happened, at first I was like, oh, fuck off. Are you just tacking shit on to make the game longer? And then I realized, like, because I got fucked up by the first space pirate I ran into, because even though she said to run, I still tried to fight him.
Yep, everybody does.
Right, everybody, yeah, okay. And I got absolutely just slaughtered. And then I was like, oh. And I never, like, I'd experienced Metroid eras where you need to run from enemies, but never one where you don't even have your power suit.
Yeah.
And it was
she's not as strong as she is in Smash Brothers. Zero Suit Samus in Smash Brothers is effective. Zero Suit Samus in this game, not so much.
No, absolutely not. And I loved it. I thought that whole, I kind of wish, and I'm curious what you think. Like, the whole thing is just cat and mouse. And when you do get triggered, like when you accidentally hit a spotlight, or if an enemy sees you, you basically just have to run until you can find somewhere to hide. Because every time they attack you, you lose like a full block of your health.
Yeah.
So if you have 8 blocks, you have 8 hits, and 8 hits is not much. But eventually you do get your power suit back, and then it's and then you go Incredible Hulk on these fuckers.
Yeah.
I would have been okay with that Zero Suit Samus portion lasting a little bit longer. I thought it was so cool.
I agree. I think you could have expanded on it. You could have even done like now you have a gun that can kill him. It's just harder, but like almost lead back up to the power suit. But
sure. Or even like,
I also don't hate the way it was.
No, I don't hate it. I really enjoyed it. I hate boss fights, but I think a boss fight would have been cool if there had been some.
That's the one thing I think that section needed. Is it needed, and rather than a bullet sponge, which is how most Metroid boss fights are, it could have been you have to not die and turn on turrets that it'll shoot it or
outsmart it, like lead it into a trap or something. Yeah,
exactly.
I agree. I was thinking, and I was frankly, I wasn't disappointed, but I was a little. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. But I wasn't disappointed, but I was genuinely just a little bit shocked that there wasn't some kind of boss like that.
Yeah,
because I really thought it was leading up to like
missing.
Yeah, like some kind of space pirate that you have to lead into like an incinerator or some shit. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
minor thing. I loved that whole portion, and then and you knew it was coming, but holy fuck, is it satisfying when you get your suit back? And all these fuckers you've been running away from, and like you said, it's not just your suit, but it's like it's fucking super suit.
Well, yeah, because as you go through the game, you get some upgrades, and it's like this isn't compatible with your current suit. You get some of the so it's like which threw me off. And then like this after the second time it happened, I'm like, okay, like whatever. I'm like, that'll come into play. And then I kind of forgot about it, even though it happens a few times. And then you get it in this, and you're like, ha ha ha, die, sucker.
Now everything's compatible. I will say that while I like that touch and I thought it was cool, as someone that like these are the only games I usually go for as close to 100% as I can get. I will say I was getting pretty frustrated trying to figure out where the fuck was I not going to make these power-ups work. I was like, what am I missing that I can't make these extra power-ups work? And then finally I realized that, like, you fucking dummy, you're not supposed to make them work. And then it was okay. But it did, I don't know, that's just me, but that did slightly irk me that I couldn't figure out how to make them work.
I said, I think after once I got the second one, I'm like, okay, these will get revealed later, and then I kind of just forgot about them until they were revealed.
But it is pretty, boy, it's sad, because then these space pirates you've been running away from for the last half an hour, now all of a sudden you're in God mode suit, and you're like, motherfuckers, and you just start unloading on everybody, and it feels pretty fucking good. It's pretty very satisfying ending to the game. It was nice.
Yeah.
I have to say, graphically, like, I don't think I have ever played a game on the Game Boy Advance that didn't look good, especially if you have a pixel art fetish like I do, then like every game's going to look good. But this is a good looking video game.
It is. I think it does I think Metroid Fusion, I think because it went for like the smoother kind of graphics and things, and because she's got a more organic suit, So I like this one because it still has that stuff feels heavy, which is really hard to portray with pixel graphics, I find. And this
Sure.
runs that line, I think, perfectly. Like everything looks real, the graphics look good. Um, the characters, they have enough sprite frames there that it does. It looks great, and I like you. I'm a big fan of sprite art.
Yeah,
This
and it's
never
just
goes.
beautiful, like
Yeah,
fucking beautiful. And then you know what I love that about this game, and I understand the irony of this statement coming out of my mouth, but I really really enjoyed the cutscenes. Nice and tight, short, not too long.
yeah,
There's no audio, but it's just like when you get to fight. I can't remember his name again, but that big fat lizard guy, and
Kraid,
what's his name?
Kraid.
Kraid. And you
He's a
get
dra-
there, and then you get this awesome cutscene where it shows them like just in more detail and everything.
Yeah,
Huge fan. I thought there were just enough of them to like it literally felt like one of the up-res versions of the NES game was adding that kind of stuff.
yeah. I like the because I know one of the things that people said is like Kraid just comes off as big dumb space dragon when in the story he's supposed to be very intelligent and malicious, but this one it actually shows him like landing his ship.
Right.
Like you go down the, I think it's when you go down the first elevator, then you see like him, the spaceship flying to the planet, and then it cuts to Ridley, the purple space dragon inside.
Yeah, yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And also like I mean, I will say that like I don't know. I'm not trying to be negative because like I've said nothing but positive. I really like this game, but like I will say I was well, no, never mind. I was gonna say I found the Ridley fight a little bit disappointing, but I don't think I did. I once I figured out that all you had to do was not let her grab you,
yeah,
I did find it very easy.
yeah,
But and I wish that she had been a little bit bigger, like Kraid is. But
yeah,
that's just me nitpicking, frankly. I think
yeah.
I don't know. Did you like did anything with that Ridley fight? Like it's a pretty cool fight. Like
It
I
it
like that
is.
she can grab you.
Yeah. Well, the issue I have with the Ridley fight is that he's the same as he is in every game, and like because especially because this is a remake. At that point, you fought him a lot, and it's always the same. It's a big tall room.
Yeah.
And you hide in the corner when it comes down to swoop down, and then you just keep shooting it until, and then even if it does grab you, I think you can just keep shooting it. So
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It would be cool to see like a fight like that where you need to like maybe you fight a phase of Ridley and then you need to like run away and do like some cool like platforming and maneuvering like and let it like chase you through like a hall or you know what I mean? Like where like Ridley's breaking down walls chasing you or something like that. I don't know.
yeah,
Just because
yeah,
you're right. It does like none of the like I hate boss fights. So give me a quick painless boss fight every time. But the boss fights in this game, like those two are basically just have lots of missiles, figure out where they can and can't hit you, and then just mash missiles, and you'll
well,
win.
Kraid at least has some strategy because like as he knocks away the platforms you're standing on, then you've got to when he shoots the spikes out of his belly buttons again,
Yeah,
plural.
plural.
You've got to climb up to be able to shoot him. Like there's strategy that, whereas this one is just he kind of hovers around and flicks his tail at you and tries to grab you.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And then the Mother Brain fight was considering that I thought that the Ridley and Kraid fights were kind of upgraded versions of the NES one. The Mother Brain fight, that's what's called Mother Brain,
Yep.
is actually in my limited memory of the NES one very faithful to the NES fight.
It is. It's almost exactly the same thing.
But it looks so much cooler. You just stand on
Well,
this
yeah.
platform over this lava, and there's like turrets above you shooting at you, and you just keep shooting rockets at like the giant glass case that it's in until you shatter the glass.
Yeah, and it breaks more and more and more, and then you shoot her in the face in the eyeball.
Yeah. But like I'm literally looking at like the Wikipedia page right now, and they have side by side screenshots of the NES fight and then the Game Boy Advance, like this fight. And yeah, the premise is the exact same, but my God, what a difference, man.
Yeah.
My God. For people, not to go on a rant, but for people that don't think that there's a possibility we're living in a simulation, look at these two screenshots and look at how far video games came in 20 years. I'm telling you. And like, it's fucking, I thought you're going to get down. I'm telling you, people hundreds of years from now, this is a video game for them. I just probably lost listeners, but I stand by that. It's fucking wild. The technology advances. It's just, I think one of my favorite things about gaming today, and I know this game's 20 years old, but we're still getting these now. We just got it with Final Fantasy 7. Is I love seeing. I know some people think there's too many remakes and remasters today. I love seeing this, and like to me, Metroid Zero Mission is what they wanted Metroid on the NES to be, but the NES couldn't do it.
Yeah, I'd agree
You
with
know what
that.
I mean? Even like the NES one, the backgrounds like were nothing to write home about. Whereas like even the backgrounds and stuff in this one look dope.
Yeah.
Like
Like
everything,
you
the
see
enemies
stuff
look great.
happening in the background, and
Yeah. When you were playing this, because of Super Metroid, every time I went through a glass chamber that was just between two doors, I was dropping the super bombs at the end.
Yep.
And I don't think I found one that I could blow up.
No.
But I look though. I can't help it because the one you don't when you don't look, that's when there'll fucking be one.
Yep, exactly.
So
Well, and that's one of the things that screwed people up in Super Metroid the most. That and the new bridge.
yeah. To this day, I still find the wall jumping to be the biggest. That's my one. That will
That's
always
the biggest
be.
thing it's the biggest
Yeah.
thing. It's clumsy and it's somehow both too precise and not precise enough in Super. This one does it a bit better. You still miss it sometimes, but when I miss it,
yeah.
I don't feel like, I know it's me. I don't feel like the game is just being fucking stupid.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then other than that, like really, it's just the quality of life improvements. Like the map is a big deal. Save points are a big deal. Refilling your health without having to, because again, if you play the NES Metroid, you have no map, and when you want to refill your health, it's literally stand at one of those pots where those flying bugs keep coming out and just keep shooting them and shooting them and shooting them and shooting them to replenish instead of just finding a save point and getting your health back. Another thing that Zero Mission did that was such a fucking improvement over the NES one was you didn't have to switch your weapons.
Yeah, no, yeah, it does the same thing that they started doing pretty much from Super onward, which is where as you get new weapons, they just stack.
Yeah, because if you've not played the NES one, you'll get like the ice beam, and then your blaster can shoot ice and freeze enemies. But then there's like I think it's the wave beam, and you have to go find the wave beam at a different point in the game. And again, if you haven't been drawing the map, that can be pretty fucking hard to do. Go there and get the wave beam, but then when you need the ice beam back, you have to go back and find the fucking statue with the ice beam. Oh,
And you will need the ice beam because if you try to beat the Metroids without the ice beam, it's a fool's errand.
Yeah. So it's so nice that, like you said, in this one it just stacks your abilities. Because I didn't expect that. I thought, again, being a remake, I was expecting that it would just, if at worst case, it would make me like pause and select a different weapon. But I didn't even have to do that. Like it's just you never have to use your menu outside of looking at the map. You never have to use your menus.
Yeah, exactly.
Seamless. It looks good. I'll be honest, I didn't have the sound on a ton while I was playing it. I was playing it on the plane to and from Toronto a lot. I didn't bring my headphones. But
the music is good, but it's also the same. Like, I mean, it's Metroid music. It's good. It's atmospheric. It does a great job of setting tone. But if you've played any besides maybe the first one, you've heard it. And and that's totally coming from someone who loves Metroid.
Yeah, Metroid's never really been known for its banging soundtracks, but I think that works. Like I don't want it is nice.
It sets a good mood, but yeah, if you want to put something else on, you're not going to miss out.
No, it's not going to get you all hyped up. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, is there anything about this game that we haven't touched on that you'd like to touch on? I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think you covered everything. It introduces, like I said, I do, because I know there's a lot of people, apparently, because it was a bit before my time, but like when Super first came out, people were like, oh, why does she have the giant orange balls now? Because they completely missed the Game Boy one. And I like that they addressed it. It's technically a new power suit that she had in the first one. And that's why she has
like her for her shoulders, you mean?
Yeah. And that was added in the Game Boy one because it didn't have color to differentiate the different suits. So they added in that, but
no, it was I guess I just I'm not gonna I'm gonna be honest, I don't play Metroid games for the story.
No, there's not much of a story.
But I do like that you get to
kill stuff.
Yeah, I do like that you get to learn a little bit about her past and stuff.
Yeah.
Like a little bit more. Like it's just nice that It is a full blown remake of the original NES, and I have to say, like, as important as the original NES Metroid is, after playing Zero Mission, I don't feel the need to ever play the NES one again.
Yeah, no, I'd
Ever.
agree with it. Like I love the concept. I love the start, the world and all that. There's no reason to go back and play the Nintendo one when this one's here.
Yeah. And
And
on
I
that
mean,
note,
I could hear an argument. Oh, the section at the end, isn't Metroid? Then don't play it. Fly off
sure,
the ship after you bleed up Mother Brain and call it good.
sure. Yeah, I just if you're listening to this, like I cannot recommend both Metroid Zero Mission and Metroid Fusion enough. They're both great. They're both on the Switch Online under the GBA section.
Yeah,
Super Metroid is in the Super Nintendo section. Metroid is in the NES section. Metroid 2 is in the Game Boy section. You can get Metroid Prime remastered. Metroid Dread, which I still think is the best Metroid, is available on the Switch. There's a lot.
yeah.
Nintendo is really. And I'll ask you this as we get ready to start wrapping this up. Is the reason Nintendo's showing Samus so much love on the Switch because they need games? Or is it because Metroid Prime 4 is still on the way and they're trying to make this? I think it's a little bit of both.
I think it's a bit of both, but I mean,
I,
it's also, you can throw an entire series on there because when you haven't shown much love in 40 years, you've got you've got 6 games, 7 games.
sure.
Yeah, 5 standard plus other M, which is shit,
Yeah.
and the three primes. So
Yeah, they're showing Nintendo like
yeah,
they're showing Samus some love right now, and I'm all for it. Someone wrote into the show in the listener comments that I read right before this conversation with you and I got put into the show. Someone wrote in and said, "Why is it that so many people haven't played or just don't know the Metroid franchise?" And I said, I think part of it is Zelda, Mario, Pokemon. They're all so cute and adorable, and like if you're buying a game for your kid, you're gonna buy the Mario or Zelda before you buy the Metroid. Like
exactly.
and I think that is part of it. But I will say, like myself, I played some Super Metroid back in the Super Nintendo era, but it really wasn't until after high school and everything when I kind of got into game collecting that I finally played through Super Metroid. And then it was still I didn't play through another Metroid game until I started this show. And
Yeah, I believe
and
that.
I yeah, and I love the series and I love the genre. And I'm gonna sit here right now and I implore you, if you're a Nintendo fan or if you like Metroidvanias, and by some chance you haven't played Metroid yet, like not the NES one, but like the franchise, a ton of them are on the Switch. Play them. And Daniel, you know a lot more about this franchise than me. People ask me sometimes where should they start. I would recommend Super Metroid still.
Ooh. I would recommend Super Metroid is a good one just because I think this tidies up the few like the controls and things that are wonky with that one. And I mean, the story will be backwards, but there's not much to worry about it.
No.
Either this one or Super.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah, if,
would you
if
recommend
you
Zero
start
Mission more?
yeah. Uh, the only thing is, I think if you play this one first and then you go to play with Super, you're gonna get frustrated because that one does force you to do things like the bouncing off the walls.
Yeah,
Although that
yeah.
that one also has the little monkey dudes, and I love the monkey dudes.
Yeah, they're both great games. The
Yeah,
reason I say Super is because that's where I started. So it's I was like,
yeah.
and I turned out okay, but
Well, I don't know if I'd say
but you
that.
are right though. I would wonder if you played this one first and then tried to go back to Super. I'm not saying it would be unplayable or anything, but I do wonder how it would hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do agree with that.
Nintendo, give us the Super remastered. Just give us
Yeah.
Super Metroid remastered. Keep it all the same. Clean up the controls. Give it the slight pass on graphics to make it look like this one, and you're good. You'll get my $80.
Yeah, how have we not gotten a Super Metroid remaster?
Yeah,
Maybe they just figure it's so good it doesn't need it.
yeah.
But I mean, it's the same as like I'm like, where the fuck is the Link to the Past like remaster? And we haven't gotten that either. And it's just
Because every
maybe,
time they start to do a Link to the Past remaster, they're like, "Oh, we can turn this into a new game."
yeah, I think so. And I think they probably just know that they're like, the Super Nintendo is fine. It doesn't need any fixing. It's fine,
Yeah,
and they're pretty well right.
it's not
Um,
wrong.
you good? Yep.
Yeah, I think that covered everything. Yeah,
All
the
right,
controls, the
all right.
bosses.
I'm
Do
good.
wish there was a zero suit boss, but I can live without it.
Yeah. Now we're just
So,
nitpicking.
Exactly.
All right.
That's just it. The fact is, to find stuff wrong with this game, you have to nitpick, and I think
Yeah, you
that's a
do.
compliment right there.
Yeah, I agree. So many of you have been on me to play this one for years now, and I get it. This one is really, really good. I gotta say, not always, but because people were like Metal Gear Solid 3, and I'm not even gonna get started on that. But most of the time, when everyone in this community is up my ass about playing a game, Portal, 20XX, Metroid Zero Mission, buddy, Dave the Diver. I don't mean to derail the show, but Dave the Diver
Dave the Diver
has
is
become.
so
I might have
good.
to go to rehab to get off this fucking game. It is so fucking good. I'm telling all of you, if you haven't played it, play it. I'm going to review it in a couple of weeks. You've played it. I've seen you post about it. It's pretty fucking good, eh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's great.
And
It's
it's so
fun.
relaxing.
It is relaxing. It gives you, but like you have something to show for it. Like Minecraft, you can spend 3 hours and not really have anything to show for it.
Right.
This one, you can spend 3 hours and you'll still have stuff to show for it, but you won't be stressed out.
Yeah. I was a little like, because deep water games genuinely freak me out a bit, but this one is so peaceful and nice. And when I see a new shark, I'm not as scared. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking eat that shark. Anyway, I'll review it in a couple of weeks. But the point I'm trying to make is every time you guys recommend a game, I would say 80% of them work out pretty well. And this one was no exception. Zero Mission is fire. We need to score this thing. My thought was that you're able to beat it in about 4 hours. And out of 4 isn't good, but if you go 4 times 60, that's 240 minutes.
Out of 240 minutes, I can do 240 minutes.
It's either that or we score it out of 0 because it's Zero Mission. So
that'd be a tough one.
Yeah. So you're the guest. I have to lay out. What do you score this precious Metroid Zero Mission out of 240 minutes?
Out of 240 minutes, I'd probably give it a good 220. I think there's a few things that you can nitpick and clean up a bit. But I think overall, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go even higher. I'm gonna go I'm going 230. I'd give it like a 9.5. I just I loved it. I have to play Metroid 2, Metroid Prime 2, and I have to play that Return of whatever, the remake of the Game Boy one.
The 3DS one.
And once I've played those two, I'm ready to do a Metroid ranking episode. And I have to tell you guys, between Metroid Dread, Super Metroid, Metroid Fusion, Metroid Zero Mission, and Metroid Prime, I'm already fucked. These games are this is the most underrated franchise in Nintendo's backlog. Not the most underutilized because F-Zero, Star Fox, and Punch-Out Online won, the most underrated franchise in their portfolio by a mile. Because I think the Metroid games are every bit as good as Mario, Zelda, and they just don't get the attention that those other games get.
Here's the thing. We don't have a genre that's, we don't have Mario likes. We don't have Zelda likes. A lot of, current Zelda games follow the Metroidvania formula, and we call them Metroidvanias.
Sure. Yeah, I get it. I mean, I'll hear, I was like, I could nitpick and argue that basically every platformer ever has copied Mario, but it doesn't matter. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Daniel, outside of saving the world from aliens and big brains, you do other things. What are you doing?
Well, I mean, mostly I harass people online and that sort of thing. But the big thing right now is I'm actually raising money for the Ronald McDonald House charities, which for those that don't know is it gives families of kids in the children's hospitals, it gives their families a place to stay. They're almost always nearby, like a couple blocks away at most. It's all volunteer based and things, but I'm currently raising money. And as a bonus, if we can get up to 1,000, my ex is going to have her revenge and dye my beautiful, wonderful beard some random bright, gaudy color. And if we can get all the way up to 4,000, she's doing a full rainbow, and there'll be pictures and everything for everybody to see and laugh at.
And if you don't know, it's because I don't know if Ronald McDonald House is like a thing in the States or whatever.
It's worldwide. I think they've got something like 130 of them worldwide now.
It is such a we can all shit on McDonald's all we want, but it is beyond a good cause.
Yeah. It wasn't started by McDonald's. McDonald's just basically they asked if they could use the name for the recognition, and McDonald's says, hey, this is a great cause. This is why, when they say a portion of every Happy Meal. But it's,
So my point is just don't write it off just because the McDonald's name is on it. It's a fucking spectacular cause. So you can find that in the description of this episode. And good for you, buddy. I like
Yeah.
it. Good for you. And
So-
I don't know. Are we good?
Yeah, I think we're good. Otherwise,
right.
go back and listen to the previous Metroid shows. Go play the Metroid games. All the
Yeah.
usual jazz.
Skip the NES one. Unless you're like, I gotta see the history. That's how I felt.
Go play the original one for an hour and then put on this one.
Yeah, you can skip it. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, good job. Thanks for doing this. And this episode
Absolutely.
goes live now in 6.5 hours, so I better get it in.
Woohoo! Yeah, have fun with that, or else
cheers.
Molly's gonna get you.
And that is going to do it for this week's episode. Daniel, thank you so much for giving me a call and talking Metroid Zero Mission into every single one of you zeros. You're not a zero anymore because you listen to this show. Whether this was your first Remember the Game or your 303rd, thank you so much for the support. I love doing this show, and I'm so glad that at least some of you seem to enjoy it, and I implore you, if you like it, subscribe and keep coming back. Maybe even leave us a good review. I'm not sure what they accomplished, but I'm supposed to ask for them. What do I have to plug? Oh, I have no idea if Daniel... So here's a little peek at how the sausage is made. As soon as I record the infamous intro, I wait like 5 seconds, and then I record this part so that it's all ready, and then I just put the game chat in between. So we still haven't done the game chat, but if Daniel did plug anything, and I don't know if he did or not, it's in the description of this podcast. You can also find a link to all my social medias in there. Told me to follow on the old Twitter, the Instagram. I do Facebook, but I don't get on. I do Facebook, but I don't get in there too often. Same with TikTok. I am over on Twitch. We got lots of Let's Plays over on YouTube. And of course, patreon.com/rememberthegame. If you want access to hundreds of my other podcasts, ad-free, ready to go for as little as $3 a month. Tomorrow, I will be ranking all of the PlayStation consoles. It should be a good time. Friday, it'll be the Rambling Idiot, where I'll just talk about whatever the fuck I feel like talking about. And then next week, we'll be back with a whole other slab of these stupid podcasts, including, hopefully, Remember the Game number 304, Donkey Kong 64 with my buddy Bradley McHugh. And I'm warning you right now, if you love this game, you may not love this episode. I don't know if I hate this game as much as I did as a child, but this is still not a game I ever want to play again. And I'm not 100%ing it before anybody asks. No chance in fuck. But we'll get into all that next week. I'm going to thank some patrons and get out of here. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will talk to you on the next one. Cheers. Remember the Game is brought to you by our Patreons. I could not puke up all the content I churn out every week without all of your support. The following people are at the senior executive vice president level or higher at patreon.com/rememberthegame. And as such, I'm contractually obligated to say all their names as quickly as possible at the end of every one of my shows. So this is in reverse alphabetical order as per the email addresses you use to sign up for Patreon. I could just read. I won't read your email addresses, but a huge thank you to Remember the Game Hall of Famer Slick Motherfucking Rick, Matt Zeus, Zach Shepard, Guy Who Does Things, Zane Donovan, Z Train 22, Joe Buck, Mizuru, Kia Pup, Darth Skywalter, Earl, Wolfgang Darren, Works For Me, Rush's Dog Walker, John Woodruff, Ryan Whitcomb, Lord Longrod Von Hugendom II, Wolf Magic 21, Tyler Bauer, Because 19, Ace McGuy. I cancel my Netflix to afford this shout out. Mr. Jabroni, Travis Sanders, Quiet Place Queen, Fuzzy 99, Beers of War, Thomas Edward Houlihan III, Youngster TK, Doogie, Timothy Sabrinsky, Theodore, Thomas Smith, Tadpole, Glue Scappin, Mike Maloney, T-Bear 87, Scary Terry, Frosty Fee 492, Ted Explosion, Sire of Sarah, Atria Wormwood, Ryan Stemmerding, Squint, Sour Goatface, AJ McCurgy, Jimothy, Captain Steve N, Shoeboxers, DBXJ, Super Saiyan Sephiroth, Timothy, I know I said that wrong. Timmy the Exuberant Turtle, Shank the Rat-Faced Bastard, Steve Dalk, Scott Brooks, Playing the Hoagie Man, Sam Carpenter, Max Sandin, Sour Goatface. Nope, now I'm trying to do it in automatic. Now I'm sucking. Now, see, it's like I've done these so many times where I do them on autopilot now. So I switch up the emails and stuff sometimes to keep me in check here. Max Sandin, Mercury869, Sabin, Squeak Nuts, Rills, Desiree, Madam Nutsitch, Wyatt the Surgeon Who's Not a Surgeon Rowe, Monstrous Steve Boner, Brian Richmond, Titan 420, Big Daddy Randall, S. Ryan Barridge, Alex Ramos, Plow King, Lotus, Wimp 15, Ryan Perry, Frosty Bear, Wilco, Donnie the Dude Walter, Elephant Calves, Musty Beetle, Nick Creature, Maverick, Cam Nelly 23, Nathan Tremblay, Esteban Navarro, Morgan, Zane Donovan, Morgan, Zonko 504, Standard Ass Brian, Adam's former assistant, Mellow Yellow 8787, Beef Dingleberry, Just Car Pranks, Lord Salazar, Savage Boosh, Put It in H, Alex McIntyre, Angry Ticks, Leroy Westrich, Lucas Shaman, Mark Sneed, Gabe, Leo, Aaron Lawson, Kayach, Postman, Ryan Kinchin, Marcus Mendoza, Kevin Monroe, My Left Nut, The Keeks, Alexander Camp, Sleeper Hit, Fill Up My Mouth with Farts, Justin Blair, No One Cares, Rated Excellent, Stud Still Smash, Jeff Bergeron, Jordan, Chugger 22, Oroku Saki's Gardner, Johnny from Virginia, Laces Out Damn, Beaver Boy, John M. Watkins, Jake Callahan, The Big Deal, J Nasty 15, Nothing Could Possibly Go Wrong, Jake Carter, Can't Destroy Her, John of the Adult Children Podcast, Max Langroom, Sharonic, Radioactive Man, James Juan Francesco, Paul Burke, Isaias, Phil Lencher, Liquor Like Luigi, Holmes, Faded Sufferance, Fill Up My Farts with My Mouth, Diablo Spartan, Lucas Valadez, Maverick Marty, G9PSX, Graham Kennedy, VOS Rager, Brant Hewitt, Little Bunny Fufu 89, Confused But Still Here, Fantasy Final, Big the Cat, E-Man Trucker, Eric James, Eric Hopewell, Ida Yellow, Super Jess, Joe the Sandman, Scotty McGee, Them Boys on the Roof, David Schroeder, Doug Dorn, Carbon Fiber Zombie, The Supreme, Chozorizo, Decoy Man, Dave McGee, Darbles, Daniel, Archangel Otaku, Fallen Snow Kiku, Combo Chuck, easy for me to say, Crystal Lake Management, Cesar, Robier, Juris Dr. Mario, Yes It's True, This Man Has No Dick, The Fletchman, Cody Richardson, James Clark, Drugs About MK, Adam Blanks, Evil Twins, Doppelgangers Clone, Christopher Britt, Christian Gabriel, Makeshift Mallow Magic Money, Triple, Me Sword Fighter, Chris Hill, There Is No Cake, Chaz Hammond, Chris Fury. This is really difficult because these names are so out of order and I'm not used to it at all. Chris Fleury, Adam Blank still hasn't enjoyed DK64, Adam Blank still hasn't reviewed Mario Galaxy, Cody Thompson, Hitchy Poo, Mert Macklin, Bula, Roger Staubach's Pool Cleaner, Elijah Burns, High Plains Drifter, General Fury, Matt Babineau, B Money, Blobby Rogers, Nerdy Hybrid, Biddy, Dan of Dissect That Film, Dan Fusselman, Hagel Waffle, Brandon DeZeba, Zamitos, Benjamin Atkins, Andrew Wright, Toby O.P., Dave Thompson, Andy Hudson, Itchy Nutsuru, Alex R., A-Town, a dude named Adam, Band, Adam Martinet, Just a Fish, A.B. Killen, and Tyler. That was a subpar batch of above average Patreon shoutouts. Thank you so much for the support, everybody. I appreciate all of you. Fuck, this sucks. Take it easy. Talk to you later. Cheers.